the Ironman can be one of the most rewarding and one of the most frustrating races that you could decide to take part in. You're attempting a crazy feat, a 2.4 mile swim, a 112 mile bike, and an entire marathon right after that. The Ironman is all about testing your limits, not only on the race day itself, but on every single day leading up to that. Today I want to reflect a bit on how the race day was for me. For reference, I was a complete beginner to both swimming and biking for the whole lead up I had for this race. Before jumping into the water, I was an absolute nervous wreck. I remember looking at my watch, just standing outside of the water on the dock and seeing that my heart rate was already at 150 BPM, which is a lot higher than I even wanted it to be during the swim. It was just absolutely nerve-wracking seeing this absolute sea of people around me, all wearing the same darn wetsuit as me. One of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. And just sitting there on the dock, listening to them count down for my wave to jump in was mind-boggling. And honestly, at this point in time, I was not excited at all. I was not excited to take part in this race. I was just so terrified. I was confident, but just absolutely terrified. But once I jumped into the water, everything kind of just fell away. I was really quickly able to fall into a rhythm after getting told a couple times to stop swimming towards the shore, because I always tend to curve left a little bit. But man, it was so smooth. The swim went incredibly well. I was hoping for like a time of an hour and a half, and I finished with a time of an hour and 10. It was wild how much it just kind of clicked into place. I really still fail to understand how it happened. Being able to watch the sun rise while swimming under bridges and everything, and seeing all the people around me, it was really cool. Just being able to sit there in my own thoughts for the entire swim and just really focus. It was nice. You're not hearing a ton of crowd noise or anything like that. It was incredible. And jumping out of the water, I felt awesome. I felt incredible, other than, the getting your legs back under you when you've been in the water for an hour. That was a little rough, but they pull you out of the water, they strip that wetsuit off of you and downed a ton of electrolytes and carbs and just hopped onto the bike. But I quickly realized how difficult this bike portion was gonna be. Don't get me wrong, a 112 mile bike on any day is gonna be very, very difficult. But this day in particular, it was getting up to 90-degree heat and the headwinds were miserable. I'm talking, you're putting out the same effort that you would to normally be biking 20 miles an hour, and you're going 8 miles an hour. So you can really see how I started to get into my head. I'm like, man, I am not hitting the paces that I thought I was gonna be hitting. I remember very vividly singing Lady Gaga to myself in a pirate voice for roughly 2 hours straight, because I was genuinely going insane. I could not believe how long the bike was taking me. For reference, I was hoping for like a 6.5 hour bike time, and I finished with about 7 hour 45. It was so rough. My legs were absolutely cooked, and at the start of the bike, I was having severe stomach cramps and things of that nature, which I haven't experienced before. But luckily, after about an hour or so, those dissipated and I was able to fuel and everything, so I thought, man, this bike's gonna go good. I was just so wrong. I was sat there talking to myself in a pirate voice and singing Lady Gaga for hours in my own mental prison that I built for myself. It was just insane. I don't even know what kept me going, to be honest. Like, I was genuinely talking to myself like, what the hell am I doing here? But I think I knew that I didn't bring all my friends and family out there for nothing, so I was gonna finish the darn thing. I'm already out here. I know my body can do it. It's just if my mind is willing to push me that far. And luckily that day it was. Hopping off that bike was pure euphoria. I didn't think I would ever be so happy to begin running a marathon when I was already that tired and I can see the sun already beginning to set. Pure bliss, just being allowed to just run on my feet. I don't have to worry about crashing anymore. It was, incredible to just be able to run. And I felt good on the first part of the run. Honestly, it was really, really nice. I finished the first half in about 2 hour 30, which I was really happy about for my marathon time going into this race. And I met some great people along that trail. I was able to laugh with the people around me, feel really encouraged. We're all yelling at each other, everything like that. Met other people my age, things like that, from all around the country. It was really, really incredible. And then, darkness started to fall, and I was just running in the pitch black. Sometimes I remember vividly running with this old man, talking about his kids and things like that, and I'm just running with him. But then other people, we'd get separated further apart, and you're just alone in the pitch black, and you're just absolutely exhausted. But, that's when I finally started to begin appreciating the race, to be honest, because I think that's when you start to acknowledge what you've done and what you're actually going to finish. It's kind of mind-blowing, I saw the sunset on the water and everything like that. It was beautiful. The aid stations, everyone there was wonderful. And it just gives you a chance to really reflect on that day while it's still going on, You get to think about the parts that you really pushed through, which in my case were just the miserable bike. That's all it was. Everyone I spoke to during the run, we always talked about how much we hated the bike. It was hilarious. But, after the first half marathon, you really start thinking, you're like, man, I'm gonna finish this. You think about the cutoff, you're like, man, I'm way under. You're like, Jesus, I'm actually gonna finish this. It's kind of crazy. But in reality, the race is incredible. The whole experience incredible, but none of it would have been this amazing if it weren't for those people that I had around me during the race and the family and friends that I had cheering me on. It is crazy how much they impacted me, both leading up to and during the race. When it comes to keeping me accountable or just checking in on me in the lead up, or during the race when they see me walking during the marathon, pushing me to continue to run. It was crazy. I've never had support or seen support like that in my life. They're screaming at the top of their lungs. They don't care who's hearing. It was absolutely incredible. That is genuinely the parts of the race that I won't forget. It's not me crossing the finish line that I'll remember. It'll be me walking through the pitch black and seeing my friends under a street lamp ahead screaming my name that I'll truly remember, and running with me and pushing me to keep going. That's what I won't forget. And it's just so interesting how a race like an Ironman seems so much like a solo achievement, but what I really realized during that race and during this past month, reflecting on it, is it was truly just the relationships around me that were able to push through it, because my mind wouldn't be nearly tough enough to do it if I didn't have the support of those people. It was just so incredible that I had them around me. Honestly, the Ironman really just taught me that. It's that the people around you are what really count in any difficult endeavor you're trying to do, because whatever you're trying to do, even if it's a solo accomplishment like that, it is so much easier and so much more attainable with an incredible support system around you. And honestly, that's about it. The race day was incredible. The people around me, like I said, absolutely wonderful. Couldn't thank them enough, even if I tried. And remember one thing, the bike is tough. No matter how hard you train, the bike is tough. Swim somehow went great. That was my least trained portion of the race, somehow went great. The run was my most trained, went pretty good, other than some minor cramps and things like that, but people around me kept me going. But man, that bike, that darn bike, that put a wallop on me. But I'm thankful for it, I'm thankful I was able to push through that kind of fatigue and pain. But that'll be all for the reflection. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap about my first Ironman. It'll be back to regular scheduled training programming here in a bit. Still recovering a bit, still going to physical therapy, things like that. But I'll be back soon with some more fun videos. So thank you all so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. All right, peace.